Welcome to Comics with Dan. Welcome to Monday Night Comics. Sorry I'm a little late here. Had a tricky bedtime, but hopefully everyone's down and quiet, and we'll have an uninterrupted show. But just don't be surprised if I need to bolt out and take care of some stuff. So this past week has been a fairly big comic week for me because I picked up basically 3 weeks of pulls that I had missed, and I got to read a decent amount of them, not all of them, and then I also got some comic mail that I'm excited to show you. So let's take a look at. Let's start with the comic mail, actually. So early on in fairly early on in having my channel, I had started a series called Up and Coming Comic Artists, and featured several comic artists. I think I did 3 videos in that series. The first was Richard Blake, who wrote and illustrated Hexagon Bridge for Image Comics, and then Frederick Horning, the horror artist, where I discovered his work in Boom Studios' Hello Darkness, early on in that series as well. And then also Somnath Pal, the artist for Crocodile Black. So Frederick Horning recently put out on Kickstarter his Seconds to Midnight anthology, which is it's a collection of web comics, like horror web comics, that utilizes his classic retro horror style for his art, and also incorporates his both classic horror writing as well as some existential horror that I think is really great. So let me adjust the camera here real quick. We'll take a quick look. So look at it this way, I think. We'll start here and we'll say Seconds to Midnight, which is really cool. I'm excited about this one. So I don't know if it's going to be backwards for you guys or not. I'm not 100% sure how that works. Let me see if there's a spot for flipping stuff on here, inversing. I'm not seeing it. But so, yeah, what's cool about this, and I guess you see the size of my hand with the book, right? This is like oversized, right? It's full size pages. It's not your regular size comic pages. There's a great forward here by EV Doom, and then there are all these like little 2-pager, 1 or 2-pager stories, right? You can see just that retro comic art is just fantastic, right? And I'm not gonna go too far. This is one that I featured on my chat with him. And if you're interested in more of his work, I mean, we talked about it in great detail. You just search his name on my channel, and you'll see the video where we chatted about it. But yeah, I mean, I love this one just because of the panel layout. I mean, you've got like the overlap of the hands here, right? And just the symbolism of having like that cross there, in correlation with the sort of graveyard, motif, so to speak. Yeah, and it's really great stuff. I mean, it's just, and so like I was really excited because back when I talked with him, this was like very early in the works, right? It wasn't something that he was ready to announce yet. So he hadn't put it, or he hadn't talked about it on the video that I had with him. Let me fix my camera back up here again. But so, yeah, so it was, I knew that he had the Seconds to Midnight comics, and I had read a handful of them on his website. And then he also had handed out a an ash can for Seconds to Midnight, which was really cool. I should you know what, I think I'll probably post a picture on Instagram later that that shows just the size difference between the two, right? Because the cover I think is extremely similar, if not exactly the same as the ash can cover, and then but obviously wildly different sizes. And a few of the things, I don't know if there's anything in the ash can that's not in the full book, but I know that there are things in the ash can that show up in the full book, and getting it in like full page glory is just incredible. And like you just don't see artists with this style anymore. I mean, genuinely can't think of another artist that's doing this, right? And that's the kind of stuff that, I love seeing, is stuff that is just incredibly unique and well done, and you can tell that the creator, they're not like Frederick's, he's not doing it for the for money or for glory. He's doing it because he loves the art. So I mean, really, just if I don't know if he's still selling this on his website or not, but even if he's not, you can go to his website. It's just fredrickhorning.com, and he I know he has the Seconds to Midnight comics on there, right? So you can at least enjoy the web comics. So anytime there's a Kickstarter that he's doing, I fund it. I back it almost immediately. So really excited about that. That came in the mail today. It took a little while because customs and tariff impacts, because Frederick's based in Germany and I'm in the US. So I think there was some delay there, but I was just glad to get it. So all right, let's dive into what we're going to talk about this week. So, like I said, I got a chance to read quite a bit, and I also have a decent amount coming up here. So like you look at my list tonight, and there's 25 books on the list. Now the first book that I want to talk about, and while I'm talking about this, I'm gonna just put another blast out to let people know that I'm gonna be live here. And let's quote this again, and live now. All right. So the title of the stream, right, is DC Sonic Part Deux, which I'm sure I woefully mispronounced, but that's fine. So there's we just got done with the last crossover, right? And I say, when did that come out? I don't know. It was at some point last year, right? And we're already getting another one, right? And so my kids and I love Sonic the Hedgehog, and I love DC. They like the DC superheroes as well. I think they're much bigger Sonic fans, but the Sonic aspect of it, I think, is a lot more appealing to them than anything else. But just the solicit here, right? So the fan favorite crossover returns. The worlds of DC Comics, Justice League, and Sega's Sonic the Hedgehog collide once more in another thrilling crossover filled with action, adventure, laughs, and perils. Mysterious mechanical rings have appeared on both worlds, linking them together and leading to all things wonderful, worrisome, and weird. The heroes are happily reunited, but little do they suspect there's a sinister origin to their reunions. So, based on what happened at the end of the last crossover, which was a sort of quote unquote, to use the MCU term, post credit scene, um, uh, Eggman and Robotnik are kind of plotting, right? And so you can see on the variant cover here, we've got, I'm sorry, not Eggman and Robotnik. Lex Luthor and Robotnik are plotting, right? And so um, here on this variant cover, we see the two of them in the background with Eggman wearing a Lex Luthor mech suit. And then you can see the same thing here, Eggman wearing the Lex Luthor mech suit. Now, I think what's extra interesting about this cover are the additional characters that you see, okay? So we knew about Batman, Shadow, Sonic, Flash, right? They showed up in the last one, as did Amy, Wonder Woman, Knuckles, Superman, Tails, Cyborg, and Silver, Green Lantern. Now the new ones here, all right, we have Blaze, who appears to be merged with Starfire, which I think makes perfect sense. We have Cream and Cheese, which are Supergirl and Crypto, which I thought was a fun idea. Rouge is Catwoman, which again makes perfect sense given her relationship with Shadow, and Catwoman's relationship with Batman. And then Big the Cat as Aquaman. And my kids were a little confused about that, but then I was like, what does Big the Cat spend all his time doing? It's fishing, right? So I think it's funny because also Big is known for having his pal Froggy hanging around, and I really hope that that Ian Flynn gets deep enough into this to have some sort of reference to Froggy being the equivalent of Topo the octopus. I think that'd be a cool throwback. Now, I don't think we've seen Topo or Topo or however you pronounce it in years, but I've read some Silver Age Aquaman recently that makes me want to see Froggy in that spot. So, yeah. So the thing is like I really want that variant cover. That's a great looking cover, but I kind of want the main cover too. You know, I mean that's a great cover too. But honestly, if I had to pick between the two, I think I'm going this one, right? I mean, it's got all those additional characters on it. And the thing is that I don't think there's any confirmation that any of those characters are actually going to show up, right? I mean, you look down at this and we see Big the Cat and Aquaman, but like we don't know, like we see Batman, Shadow the Hedgehog, right? But that those additional characters being on that variant cover don't necessarily mean they're going to be in the book. So we have a while for final order cutoff for this, but I have never pulled a series so fast in my life. I'm very excited for it. I'm amazed that it's only at 600 right now, but I'm sure it'll pick up when it's closer. So yeah, and so what's interesting is so Sonic the Hedgehog, the Metal Legion, this has to be a coincidence, but it reminds me of the Knuckles, the Dark Legion mini series from Archie, which it can't be related to that because there's no way they would risk their Ken Pender's lawsuit on DC Sonic crossover book. But my guess is that like the Metal Legion has to do with the Legion of Doom and Robotnik's Metal Badniks kind of crossing over and combining. So, yeah, I mean, I'm really excited for it. It's going to be The first one was really good. It was a lot of fun, and then the toys came out after that. There's been a bunch of like clothing and stuff. They're really leaning into this. I would love a video game. I think that might be wishful thinking, but to be honest, like the fact that Sonic is kind of based in video games is it's like where he comes from. I think it's a possibility. I think it could happen. I know that there's a Sega like showcase um, that's coming up. I think in March. And I think that'd be a cool place to announce a maybe some kind of like crossover fighting game or something like that. I'd even settle for like let's get some DC characters in Sonic Racing Cross Worlds. I think that'd be pretty cool. Get Batman in there driving a Batmobile. Um, or, like Nightwing riding on extreme gear. Something like that. Uh let's take a look at the next book. So the first book that I read this week, and it really wasn't a question as to which book I was going to pick up and read first after I got my pulls this week. The Muppets Noir. So the basis of this is that Kermit's getting real stressed out about the Muppet Show and coming up with the next big idea. And so he sits down to take a break and read a chapter of a detective novel. And this brick throwing act, which is an act that I think you'd only see on the Muppet Show, loses control. One of their bricks hits Kermit in the head, and he has this dream that he's this detective. This detective that starts having these hallucinations whenever Pie's in the room. It's just as off the wall as you would imagine a book called Muppets Noir would be. Um, and it's great. I gave this 4.5. Um, yeah, I mean it was spectacular. The last Muppet book that I read was Muppet Robin Hood, which was published by Boom Studios, and that's one of my favorite books. And so again, the strength in really anything Muppets is the way that they cast the different characters. And so like Kermit as a private investigator named Flip Minnow, hilarious. Um, the like Fozzie Bear as like this good guy cop that's also like a little incompetent, and then at the same time, Sam the Eagle is this like over the top police officer. Like he's like giving parking tickets to a 9-year-old girl on a bike, and like Miss Piggy as she's the daughter of a pie magnate, I guess is the word that you would use. Um, it's great. It's all great. Um, and and I feel like the winning recipe for the Muppets is that they know that Kermit and Miss Piggy, they're supposed to be at center stage with the other characters around supporting them, right? Um, but also making sure that they give the other characters enough, whether it's page time, screen time, whatever. Um, but this is definitely done here, right? Where you get all of the great casting of the characters, the shared time with Miss Piggy and Kermit at the center. Rizzo is the mortuary, the guy that runs the morgue. Um, just amazing. It's amazing stuff. I believe final order cutoff for the next issue is tonight. So if you want to make sure that you get that one in, then make sure you grab that. And for this first issue, you're gonna have to go with finding it on eBay or hope that your comic shop has some. I ended up getting the Declan Shalvey variant. I think that's just what was available. So I did like the Landridge A cover, but this is a good cover too. So yeah, so the Muppets Noir. Definitely, it hit the expectations for sure. So, next, I was able to catch up on the latest Nightwing, which I've been enjoying. I will admit that the early issues had me extremely excited for the series, and the excitement has settled some. But that being said, I I do still really like this run. I think it's I think it's paced really well, which is a problem in the last run. And I think that the I think that the way that the way that Dan Waters is keeping the stuff here like more contained, and not like really going off on any kind of tangents or anything is helpful. Like villain is this like clown looking guy called Zanny, and he is like he's pulling the strings, no pun intended there. And if you read it, you'll get it. But um, he's pulling the strings over the top, but is also like within arm's reach, right? And we don't go an issue without seeing him. We don't forget about him. We don't wonder what's going on with him, right? And I like the addition of Martian Manhunter showing up in this. I'm not 100% sure why he was selected as the for this particular role. I mean, he basically um is involved in helping Nightwing get into the fifth dimension to combat Zanny. But while this one, and I want to see what I rated these because I have a feeling, I have an idea in my head, but I'm not 100% sure if that's what I ended up rating him. I ended up giving this one 4 stars. And then, yeah, I'm going to give that one 4. I'm going to bump that up to 4.5 just because I really liked how this ended. I really liked, I felt like this added a lot to the Nightwing lore because it basically it's the problem is resolved, but it's very open ended. Um, and there's a lot of ways that this could be taken later on, and I just feel like a lot of Nightwing's previous chapters are just a little too closed. Um, like I like the idea of leaving seeds for uh, whether it's future arcs within the same run or future writers to kind of pull back from, right? Without having to get too crazy with like resurrecting characters and stuff like that. Like the way that this ended, it kept that storyline intact and allowed for mainly the characters of Nightwing Prime and Zanny to be used again. So I did I did like that part of it. I'm interested to see the cover artist of this next issue. It's called this. So this is called The Crossroads. So I don't know if oh yeah, Fornes did the cover, but Dennis Cowan is on art for this. I don't see any preview, but I love that cover. That's a great cover. I'm interested to see. So like this should be a great jumping on point, and so this is a final order cutoff for tonight as well. So if you want to jump on Nightwing, this is probably the spot to do it. It's still Dan Waters, and he's doing a great job. So Bloodhaven's haunted past could destroy its future as Dennis Cowan joins writer Dan Waters. A new era begins here for Bloodhaven and its hero. The city's new superhighway was meant to be its lifeline. Instead, it's become a hotbed of strange and violent incidents. Nightwing's investigation into this haunted road drives him toward a tragedy which he may never recover and sends him looking for answers in Bloodhaven's tragic past. Superstar artist Dennis Cowan joins ongoing writer Dan Waters for a noir tale of urban folklore in a city where the unavenged dead will stay silent no longer. That sounds right down my alley. The other thing that's important to note, without giving too much away, is that the damage sustained in Nightwing 135, I would imagine, to the city of Bloodhaven, right? I imagine will play a part in what this looks like, right? If they cut to everything being peachy and fine in this issue, that's going to feel like a bit of a lost opportunity. They even reference Cataclysm, or what's the name of that full? The one where Gotham has that giant earthquake, and I think it affects what's going on in Bloodhaven as well. But I know Cataclysm was part of that, but I feel like I just can't remember what the name of it is off the top of my head. But yeah, I feel like they have to keep that piece of it going, right? Otherwise, it'll be one of the biggest missed opportunities since Batman lost his hand and then got it back. So, World's Finest, number 48. So obviously a fantastic cover. We get a lot more. One of the things I love about this series and about Mark Waid in general is that, like, he's doing that new history of the DC universe. So it feels like he can mold things, right? And so what he does here is we get more background on Earth 3 that we've gotten since Forever Evil, but maybe even since Crisis on Infinite Earths. So this whole story takes place on Earth 3, and we get introduced to the Doom Patrol, or I don't know if they call them Doom Patrol, I can't remember. But basically the Doom Patrol and the Metal Men of Earth 3. And it's just a great introduction for them. We get, I don't see if this is the first time we see Riddler. No, it must not be. Let me see where he first pops up. Oh yeah, so this is the first. This is his first appearance. So the Riddler is essentially a hero in on Earth 3, which makes sense because everything's flipped around. And then everyone else, all these other heroes are bad guys, right? I also want to add that while I do like Marcus Toe's work on Red Robin, the addition of Tamara Bonvillain and coloring for him, it's excellent. It's great stuff. You can even see from some of the headshots here on the characters that it's their first appearance. It's just awesome stuff. So let me see. Yeah, so I was gonna say, oh, so the origins there. Do we not see Owlman in I thought we saw Owlman in Crisis on Infinite Earths. Oh yeah, there we go. Crisis Death appearance. Oh, and even earlier, Justice League of America 29. That's interesting. I should go back and look at that. Crisis on Earth 3. Yeah, that's wild. I can't believe that's how far back this goes. But yeah, and so really, and I'll go through the preview a little bit. Yeah, look up in the sky. Oh, they go back to it. Okay. there was all the next page was going to be all man. But yeah, like I mean, Marcus Toe and Tamara Bonvillain are a great team. But I'm starting to think that and Tamara Bonvillain are a good team. So, because she just rocks it. So GI Joe number 19. So this one was pretty highly anticipated as well, just because of the quite literal headbutting, as you can see on the cover here, between Hound and Duke, as we saw in issue 17, right? So 2 issues ago, the the Joes were in a tough spot, and Clutch bailed them out by bringing Hound and revealing that he had partnered up with this Transformer this whole time, which doesn't sit well with Duke because the very beginning of Duke in the Energon universe was Starscream killing Duke's, co-pilot, right, his friend. And so having Duke having someone that he thought was his friend, Clutch, go behind his back and partner up with one of these robots that he's essentially dedicated to hunting down, I think it's great drama. It's awesome. Some of these incentive covers look great. Like that's a good looking cover. I don't know if that's. I think is that Starscream in the back. It might be. But so this was very, very well done. It part of me wishes that there had been a little more, just because I was excited to get to it. But really, what this issue is doing is setting up the meeting between Duke and Optimus Prime, which happens next issue. Which, like, if I look at like 6,600 pulled this one, right? How many people are pulling this? Only a little bit more, not that much more, surprisingly. But this is another one that the final order cutoff is 23rd tonight. So, I have a feeling that this is going to be an important book within the Energon universe. This is really the first time that the books are really going to cross over. Obviously, aspects of them have crossed over in ways, but never have the stories actually intertwined. So one thing I haven't read is Transformers. Oh, what is it? 29, I guess, is the one that we're on. So I'm interested to see if that's going to start to tie into what's going on in GI Joe. I would love for that to happen, but we'll see if that's the case. But the GI Joe continues to be great. Josh Williamson is he's doing incredible things with all the books that he's on. So what do we have next? DCKO. Is he credited as a writer on this? Yes, he is, and that's why it's good. So this was, I thought this was amazing. I mean, it's everything that I wanted the first meeting between the two universes to be. So it's fantastic. I mean, like you can see here, it's in the preview, so I don't feel bad about spoiling it, but like Joker does the most Joker thing, and he like is essentially about like he could win this Omega tournament, and he decides I'm going to switch sides, which is just amazing because that's exactly what he would do. And so I don't want to spoil it for anyone that hasn't read it yet. But I'll post on League of Comic Geeks who wins the DCKO tournament in case, and I'll put a spoiler tag on it just in case you want to know who it is without having to read the book. Um, this was incredible. This whole series, this whole event has been probably the best event that I've read from DC. Um, just amazing stuff. I read, and we're back. So Superman Unlimited #9. First of all, it's a great cover. Who's the cover artist on this? Dave Johnson. Sweet. It's a good cover. And it's involving the prankster, which I didn't realize was even a character, but it's the second prankster, I guess. It's not the original prankster. But I guess the original one is like kind of pulling the strings. So um oh okay. I thought that Andrew Dalhouse did the coloring on the book, but he did it on this DC AEW. Andrew Dalhouse is the colorist on Space Ghost, so he does a great job on that book. But so this was really cool. It it put the prankster as honestly someone who I had never thought about. Um, but I wouldn't say it makes him an A-list villain so much as he poses a real threat, right? And this is essentially like a two-parter with issue number 10, which I have not had a chance to read yet. But like the art's pretty good in this one. But basically, the prankster is doing these killings for hire that are supposed to be like embarrassing ways to die. Like, so people that want to embarrass somebody, right? And so, like the one guy, he dies because someone throws a pie at him and he has an allergic reaction, which is just like a little ridiculous. Um, but also the stakes are kept high enough that it doesn't feel like completely like absurd to see this as a threat. Um, and again, the access to kryptonite has made this one of the better Superman books that I've read in a long time, just because like there's a reason for the access to the kryptonite. Okay. It's not just like, oh, like he happens to have some. It's like, no, like it's very accessible now. So it's a lot more prevalent and can threaten Superman more often, and it works again here. So really, Dan Slott having that show up early on, the meteor, in case you're wondering. So a meteor comes down, it's made entirely of kryptonite. It messes with Superman's powers so that if he comes in contact with no, so he can go like completely golden, and he's basically invincible for like a minute, and then he loses all his powers. So really a cool way of working that into the book, and it actually ends up bleeding over into Nightwing, which is awesome. I love whenever books are able to do that and kind of cross paths like that. So yeah, no, I think Superman Unlimited is it's a great book to pick up if you want to get into Superman. Dan Slott understands the character really well, and it's not a big commitment, right? So like if you don't like it, you don't feel like you have to keep pulling it, because these stories are one or two issues at most. Um and it's more standalone. So definitely enjoying that. I also read I got back on the Absolute Batman train. So the reason the reason I picked Absolute Batman up again, you'll be able to see right here. We get a cameo from Absolute Dick Grayson. The thing is, and so part of it, right, is that coming up we have a big issue in issue number 20 that we're going to take a look at here. And that's the cover. All right, so a giant Robin logo. I'm convinced there's no way that Dick Grayson's going to be that Robin. I would be amazed if it was anyone other than Damian Wayne. I don't know how they're going to tie that in, now that I think about it, because like this Bruce is essentially he's not too young to have a son, but I mean, I guess in theory they could work that in somehow, but it doesn't feel like it fits the character quite as well. But I'm interested to see where they go with it. I mean, actually, I didn't even read the solicits to see what it is. As the dust settles in the city of Gotham after the loss of Redacted, Robins enter the scene ready to hunt, and more than one secret revealed in this seminal issue. So it seems to me like they're going to kind of take a page out of the Robin War book, or We Are Robin, or whatever it's called, right? To have multiple characters being Robin, which could be interesting. I mean, maybe we'll get not just Damian Wayne, but Tim Drake. I doubt they would put Jason Todd in there or Dick Grayson, but maybe like Duke Thomas. Maybe we'll get a Carrie Kelly. It could be interesting, but that's why I picked this up. It was pretty good. They take Absolute Poison Ivy, and rather than just like making her an eco terrorist like she is in the mainline books, she is a little more blended with like Mr. Freeze's backstory, where she's trying to find a cure for her mother, and the money to back up the research is not enough. It's interesting, right? Like the idea, and it's like people say comics are inherently political, right? And to a certain extent they can be. But this is something that I think that if people really sat down and listened to what each side has to say about it, they would realize that this is something that they agree on, that like these big pharma, big medical, like stuff like that, right? They are, they're the like hospitals and insurance companies, really. It's all about the money, right? And that's what Poison Ivy does here. Is she is frustrated with the lack of funding and the lack of results in saving her mother, even though she has copious amounts of success elsewhere. But all of her successes, all of her wins, get kind of picked apart by these money and power hungry people. So and obviously commentary on what the real world can be like at times, but it's pretty good. I think that, yeah, I was gonna say I didn't think it got left off at, I think it got left off at a like a cliffhanger, so we'll see more Poison Ivy in the next book, in the next issue. I do feel like I missed just a ton, because the last Absolute Batman that I read, was like issue number 9. What's going on, Matt? Glad to have you here. I don't know that I will pick up Absolute Catwoman. I'm not sure if that's going to be to be honest, I've been missing a lot of the Absolute books. Let me see. Is that, I'm assuming that's going to be like a limited series. but or maybe it's not going to be a one shot, is it? It's interesting because she has the helmet of the Black Mask, or yeah, the Black Mask. So yeah, I mean, so it would depend, right? If it's a mini series, I'll probably look into the trade. If it's a one shot, I might just pick up that one book. But um, I missed the absolute Batman issues where she shows up, I think, for the most part. So I don't have a lot of uh, I don't have a lot of insight as to she's what her deal is. Crazy. Because if you look like this, 48,000 people have absolute Batman pulled on League of Comic Geeks. I didn't even know there are that many users here. And if I look at, like, let's just take a look at what the mainline Batman book is is currently at, right? Batman number 7. That many people are pulling that book. Yeah, I've just been I've been trying to find honestly a stopping point for some series to just grab some trades for some stuff. Um, I saw recently the Absolute Batman trade, or it was like a hardcover at my local comic shop. That let's see, let's look at this series. The problem with this is that it's only going to show me the single issues. I never know how this works. Um, but yeah, so the last thing I read was number 9, and the the trade that I saw took us from 7 to 14. So I may need to I may need to pick that up. I may need to pick that up. So yeah, reading the trades it's just so much more cost effective. It's hard to beat. So um so that's all I have read in the last few, or the last week. But now we'll jump into what's on my pull list for next week, which is really just four things, right? So it's Justice League Unlimited number 16. This is a DCKO tie-in. Now, like I've said before when talking about this, is that it's not a tried and true tie-in so much. It's definitely one that you could skip if you're just trying to get the DCKO and a DCKO story in. But it is a good book. It's a good tie-in. It's just not overly related to what's going on in the main story. But the the seeing these displaced heroes kind of forming a team with Mr. Terrific has been pretty cool. And obviously the Dan Mora art has been great. Um, so yeah, we got some good covers there. Terrific 10 part 5. Skinbreaker. So I'm frustrated that I haven't been able to track down without going online and paying crazy amounts for shipping. A copy of issue number 2 of this, because I really loved issue number 1, and I have 3, 4, and 5 just sitting in a stack upstairs. And I can't read them because I haven't read number 2 yet. And this it was that first issue was great. So that's kind of all I have to say about that one, right? Is I love the first issue. I'm going to keep pulling it, and then eventually, hopefully, get an issue number 2. I don't know why it didn't come through before, but so what's interesting here is based on what the ending of DCKO was, is that I don't know how this is going to fit in to what's going on in DCKO. This seems almost like an epilogue, but it says event tie-in. It almost seems like more of an epilogue. It says it sets up the end of DCKO. I'm interested. It says massive status quo changes for Superman. I don't know how real that is, because the I don't know how real that is because I feel like solicits do that all the time. And it's just not always true. Um, get this, that I was looking for it this past week and thinking that it was coming out this week, but it wasn't. But yeah, so that one's on my list as well. And then the last one is Void Rivals. So for the Quintesson War. So this feels like a nice shift, and in reality, like Robert Kirkman is just like he's world building like crazy here, right? I have a feeling that first of all, like nobody's gonna go to Robert Kirkman and tell him that they can't do Void Rivals anymore, right? Like it's like I know some people are getting frustrated with the pacing and the like what's happening in the books, but I think that if you're patient and just enjoy the books for what they are, then you're going to have a lot more fun with this one, right? I've grown to really like um the characters, especially Derek. Salila's she's a little questionable at times, but I think she's a good character overall. And then like just these quintessence, and then I know for a fact that we're gonna see. I don't know for a fact. I desperately hope that we're going to see Optimus Prime and other Transformers fight against Goliath, which is the giant like evil uh titan that is inside the sacred ring. So what else? Okay, so that's all that's on my pull list. Um I am running a little low on time here, so I'll kind of go through these a little quickly. So Nightwing 136. I don't know if I mentioned this when I was talking about Nightwing earlier. I think I did, but this is going to be a good jumping on point. 135 was the end of the Cirque du Sin arc, and this is, it says what the crossroads starts here is the tagline at the top of that. It's going to be a good jumping on point. It's still Dan Waters, but it's going to be a nice spot. Plus, that cover is a great cover. That's a really good looking cover. Dennis Cowan is going to be the artist on the book, which is an incredible get for that book. I'm putting World's Finest on here because I enjoyed issue number 48, and I think that you could probably still get a copy of 48 and tie it together with 42 issue arc. But also Dan Mora comes back for issue number 50, which I'm really excited about. So yeah, so hope I can find some of those Stephanie Phillips Daredevil blind bags for the April 1st release. I love blind bags, and I feel like I shouldn't, but they're just so much fun. I'll probably grab one. I don't have the comic budget to do too many, but I think some I think grabbing one would be cool. I did one for Batman #1. Um, and like I've heard people have problems with Stephanie Phillips writing, but generally, like the stuff that I've read of hers, I enjoy. Um, so and to be fair, it's only been some, but I feel good about this run. Um, and I I like the beginning of Ahmed's run, um, but it got a little dry for me. Uh, but yeah, no, I mean, I think it should be good, and I'd kind of forgotten about that. Go and make me pull a Daredevil book. No, that's actually not a problem. I've pulled a Daredevil books for a long time, but I'm thinking more along the lines of I uh, don't pull a lot of Marvel books these days. So those A covers look awesome. April 1st. Oh, looks like I missed the final order cutoff for that one. Hopefully I can still get it. But yeah. So no, that yeah, I mean, so we have the blind bags. Also hilarious that they do blind bags for Matt Murdock, right? Um, oh, and apparently there's a Daniel Warren Johnson blind bag variant and a Dan Panosian variant. That's too great. I'm definitely excited to do a blind bag. I'll get an A cover. I'm assuming that was me saying the Matt Murdock blind bag joke. Maybe a little insensitive, but that's okay. All right. Yeah, no, I thank you for the reminder on that because I would have forgotten that a new Daredevil was even coming out. I just I end up losing track of what's going on in Marvel these days just because I don't pull a lot of it. Now that being said, I have the latest um I've been pulling Captain America and I decided to start pulling the other pieces of the Armageddon event, which I think could be cool. It looks interesting, and so I haven't read the Wolverine tie-in or prologue thing, um, but but I have that in my stack upstairs, so we'll see how that goes. I wanted to draw attention to this one because we are seeing they're not restarting the numbering, which I love, and it's so like it's so like a Titans book to change the name of the book mid-run. I mean, that's what they did with the new Teen Titans or the New Titans or whatever it was, and Tales of the Teen Titans or whatever, right? They were always changing those. So, um, oh, come on. Oh, there we go. Grew up loving Marvel. Yeah, so I was definitely a DC guy growing up, um, just because of Batman the animated series, and I like that. No question, not a Vix H1. DC is killing it right now. I mean, there are certainly Marvel books that I'm enjoying or that I have enjoyed, but it seems to me like DC is far and above winning that battle. I like that they're doing some crossovers though. That's kind of nice. Um, but so yeah, New Titans. The lineup looks interesting. Um, the fact that I mean, I don't know who's supposed to be. So like the New Titans, I'm guessing are John, Yara, Stephanie, and I don't actually know who that is in the back there. Let me see. Oh, is it supposed to be Tara? That's funny. I don't know what's going on with her. Yeah, I wanted to point this one out because I thought it was interesting. Um, yeah, the DC Finest are awesome. I have which ones do I have? Do I think I only have Aquaman and Legion of Superheroes, but if I could, I think I'd buy every single one of them. They're all just awesome. I talked about GI Joe. I'm over my hour. I need to sign off here soon. Um, a lot of these I've already kind of talked about last week. Um, GI Joe I've talked about. I'm excited to see. We'll do kind of rapid fire here. So GI Joe, Duke meets Optimus Prime. This is going to be a huge key book, I think. It's a great cover. Very excited for this one. Lobo #1, Batwoman #1, and Deathstroke the Terminator #1. Who's on Deathstroke? Is it Tony Fleeks? Okay. Um, yeah, so DC Next Level books that I think could all have a lot of potential. I don't know if they're going to be. I think the plan is for them to be limited series to start at least. Superman Unlimited #11 is gonna dive into some young John Kent stuff, which is cool. Um, interesting. I'm I'm not somebody who is a diehard de-ager, but they really shouldn't be baiting people when they have no intention of doing so. Oh man, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Um, I I think that maybe DC tried to provide some closure with that John Kent. What was it? It was a Clayton Henry and Tom Taylor book. Um, but I read it and it was rough. It was not great. The one where he hugs the dictator. Where John meets the Injustice Superman, right? And I feel like they tried to provide some closure with the whole de-aging thing on that, and I do not think that it was successful. That's still a bit of a messy part in DC history, I think. But um, Superman, Spider-Man, Spider-Man, Superman. I will be pulling both of those. Very excited for those. Um, I enjoyed the Batman Deadpool ones, and I don't even really like Deadpool that much. And I like Superman and Spider-Man a lot. So I think that it'd be really cool to have these two crossovers. Ice Cream Man, first book in a while. Um, but it's a like rear window. Uh, it's like a rear window, like almost an homage or like a inspired comic. Um, it's going to be so good. I mean, these guys have never missed on this book. There's 45 issues of it, and I don't think they've ever missed. Um, at least the ones that I've read. And then this I saw, and I just had to point out Romeo and Juliet and Godzilla. I have no idea how they're going to do this. It, I just like that's too funny. I don't know. Overview. It's a one shot. Problem is that it's expensive. It's $8. So, all right. Thanks, Matt. Thanks for watching. I always appreciate you coming on uh and chatting. So, thanks, man. Um, yeah. I mean, this one's nuts. I feel like I can't help but pull it. I've got a little time to decide, but this I feel like this is just gonna be too funny. Uh, uh, um, Also worth noting is before we get to find this. Um, ah, there is a Sonic the Hedgehog and Godzilla crossover. I I don't know what they're doing, but I like it. Um, I mean, is this a one shot? No, it's a limited series. They're doing a series of this. Uh, I mean, so like, I hope that they do a. I hope that they do. Yeah, Godzilla's a third wheel is hilarious. Yes, it is. That's like. It, I'm just like imagining him like hiding behind a tree while they're hanging out and like failing horribly at it. Um, I feel so like I started getting into like older movies, right? Um, Not like any older movie, but like I started with watching kung fu movies and then started getting into some westerns. I feel like I could uh dip into the Godzilla movies and find them pretty interesting. Um but anyway, this crossover is probably going to be awesome. I'm interested to see kind of how they go about this. It's interesting that they have all those like confirmed characters. I don't see any. Yeah. Um, I think that there's going to be a Sonic Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles crossover. I mean, you heard it here first, right? I think that that makes so much sense, and it's a travesty that there hasn't been an official one. Now, a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle arm shows up in a very early issue of Archie Sonic. But other than that, they have not crossed over to my knowledge, at least in a comic. And I think it would be such a great crossover. Um, I mean, like imagine Knuckles and Raphael fighting each other because like they're going to both be hotheads about it and fight it, go after each other. Um, I mean, Sonic and Mikey kind of, yeah. I mean, Sonic and Mikey like quipping, and then you have Donatello and Tails doing nerdy stuff, right? I mean, it seems it seems like a perfect match to me. I don't know why they haven't done it yet. I don't know if there's like licensing issues or what, but I know I know at least for a long time that Sega was notoriously strict with their licensing, but it's like it seems like now that they're just telling uh IDW like go ahead and publish whatever you feel like. Yeah, I hope that they do too. Okay. All right. That is all that I have. Um, I ended up going 10 minutes over what I normally do. But there was a lot to talk about. Um, I appreciate everyone watching and, commenting and just hanging out over the last hour and 10 minutes. So make sure you like the video, hit subscribe if you're not already subscribed. It'll help get the word out and everything. Um, and thanks everyone for watching. Have a good night.